The next group of cars to work their way out onto the Thunder Ring for this 20-lap feature race is the Masters division. Bill Plemons Jr., who had a clean season sweep last season with 8 wins overall out of Locust Grove, Georgia, will start on the pole. Christopher Clinton, someone who will be competing in our Pro Division race a little while later. His dad will complete in the Masters Division, Joey Clinton out of Brooks, Georgia. That'll make up the outside to the pole sitter, Bill Plemons Jr. Back in row number 2, Phillip Young, perhaps Bill Plemons Jr.'s biggest challenger last season, and the 10 car of Benjamin Jones. Back in row number 3 out of Athens, Georgia, Mark Swan, and Kenton, Georgia's Ronnie Wehunt. Back in row number 4, Tony Yawn in the number 4 racing machine, and the 5 car out of Covington, Georgia, Tony Armbruster. Back in row number 5, Russell Shore out of Jefferson, Georgia, and Randy Schubert out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Starting in the 11th place position, Wes Potter out of Covington, Georgia in the 01 machine, and the 18 machine of James Meredith out of Locust Grove, Georgia, and rounding out your field out of Jackson Lake, Georgia in the 5 car, Barry Bowen.
This is going to be fun to watch. Bill Plemons was a joy to watch last year. He dominated the whole series, but I have a feeling after watching Joey Clanton do his time trial, this is going to be a great race.
Well, those two set to lock in and do battle for 20 laps here in the Masters feature race. Bill Plemons Jr., Joey Clanton, Phillip Young, Mark Swan, Benjamin Jones, all these drivers going to try and go to victory lane early this season here at Thursday Thunder, the 24th season. Glad to have all of you with us on Track Pass on NBC Gold. Lights out atop the pace car, getting ready to go Masters feature racing here at the Thunder Ring.
And every time Bill Plemons wins, he becomes the oldest winner in Thursday Thunder history. Let's see if he can keep on stretching that record.
Working towards the green flag. It is in the air. We are feature racing in the Masters division. Bill Plemons Jr. makes contact. He'll spin in turns 1 and 2. Makes contact off the 83 car of Joey Clanton, and the caution flag is out on the speedway.
Those rings really grab you and bring you inside if you catch them. It looks like there was contact there, and then some wheels caught those barrel rings. They are playing a factor in these races.
What a storyline this is developing. Last year's 8-time winner, Bill Plemons Jr., is the cause of the caution early. Dove in a little bit too hot into turns 1 and 2. Slid up into the yellow and blue 83 of Joey Clanton out of Brooks, Georgia. Brings out the first caution. Bill Plemons Jr. is chasing a national championship this season here in the Masters division. Not a good way to start it here on the Thunder Ring. As the caution flag comes out, Bill Plemons Jr., the favorite to win it here tonight, spins early.
And that's a tough break. It's going to take a lot to get back into this, but it looks like he's right up there in the front as they pull up there. I'm not sure where they're going to put him in this pack.
So Bill Plemons Jr. will move to the rear. If he's going to win this one and continue his dominance here in the Masters division, he's going to have to come all the way from the back. New players at the front of the field. The entire inside lane will move up. So now the 37 car of Phillip Young will move into that inside lane, position number 1. And the 83 car of Joey Clanton will be to his outside.
This will be an amazing feat if he can work his way through this pack to defend his title.
Last year, he had one race where he spun early and drove all the way back through the field to pick up the victory, but he also didn't have Joey Clanton in this field. Joey Clanton is a heavy hitter who has come to knock Bill Plemons Jr. off his throne. Lights out atop the pace vehicle. We're moments away from going back racing here in the Masters feature race. Working down the backstretch, Phillip Young, Joey Clanton make up the front row. Bill Plemons Jr. finds himself at the back. Green flag in the air. Good jump for Phillip Young in the orange and white 37.
And Plemons has already made up 4 spaces.
Plemons dove straight to the bottom and moved up 4 spots, getting past those drivers. Swung wide. He's going to have to spin
here's
back
another
in the
caution
pack.
about to come
4
out.
car of Tony Yon and the 83 car of Joey Clanton spin in turns 3 and 4. Caution flag out on the speedway, and another one of those heavy hitters is spun here in turns 3 and 4. Joey Clanton, another fan favorite to win here tonight, is the cause of another caution. He got spun around by the 4 car of Tony Yon. Caution flag out on the speedway, and just as we talked about Will Plemons Jr. having to go to the rear, some other guys big at the top. Mark Swan, Tony Yon and Joey Clanton will have to go to the rear now.
What I just saw with Bill Plemons in that one lap is he's going to be a factor at the end of this race. He passed enough cars in that first lap to make me feel like you're not going to keep him away from the front.
20 laps doesn't seem like a lot, but in this setting, in this Masters division, it's a lifetime for these drivers. Bill Plemons Jr., especially with these cautions, is able now to move up those 4 positions he's made, now move into the 5th place position, going to get to try and do that again on this restart as the track crew out on the grass here in turns 3 and 4 working to get the 83 car of Joey Clanton back on the racing service so he can continue on. So your front row of Bill Plemons Jr. and Joey Clanton both involved in trouble early. We'll see what happens for the remainder of this race, but haven't even completed 1 lap yet, and we have new players at the front of the field. 37 car, Phillip Young. 10 car, Benjamin Jones. 14 car, Mark Swan. Might not have necessarily been the pick to win, but now with all this happening and these big-time heavy hitters falling to the rear, perhaps the thing they needed to pick up a Masters victory here early.
This might be a Cole Custer type race where you just got to stay out of trouble and hope people crash in front of you, and you just fly to the front.
So pace vehicle pulling these cars around the racing surface, track crew getting the cones to the pit area, set back up. Yeah, confirm that.
Looks like they're black flagging the 5-car Bowen. Once again, this is Ronnie Wehunt. There are 3 5 cars out there.
So a lot of stuff going on early in this Masters feature race. We haven't even completed lap number 1, getting this field sorted back out. Front row, Bill Plemons Jr. and Joey Clanton involved in trouble early. They find themselves back at the rear right now as race control continues to get this field set so we can go back green flag racing. Phillip Young, who ran up front a lot last year, finds himself on the front row along with the 10 car of Benjamin Jones out of Macon, Georgia.
At this rate, the number 4 car of Tony Yon, seems like he's in the perfect spot to win this thing.
Tony Yon finds himself back on row number 2 in 3rd.
No, he's in the back. I'm just making
Mark Swan. I apologize. Mark Swan in the red and black 14 is back in 3rd. 2 by 2 off of turn number 4. Phillip Young with the jump with the 10 car of Benjamin Jones. Green flag racing back in the air. Field spreads out. Here comes Joey Clanton all the way up to 6th. Now battling for 5th over the 8 car of Randy Schubert.
Plemons made a 2-car pass, but then took the turn wide, and they made it right back up from him, having some trouble in the back there.
Bill Plemons trying to fight his way through a hornet's nest to get back up through this field, but so far, front row, Joey Clanton, who was involved in that last caution, has made his way back up to 5th, trying to get past the 07 car of Russell Shore.
And Young is taking advantage, taking a nice big lead as Jones is in 2nd and number 14 Swan in 3rd place at this point. A fight for 4th and 5th is going on right as we speak.
Coming across the stripe here, Phillip Young has stretched his lead to about 2 seconds here working off the turn number 2 and down the backstretch. The 83 car of Joey Clanton trying to get past the 07 car of Russell Shore. He's trying to make that pass on the high side. Those two cars make contact and come to a stop here in turns 3 and 4. Caution flag out once again.
And if those two are in the caution, look who's in 4th place at this point. It's Bill Plemons.
Bill Plemons Jr. biding his time. Caution flag out once again for the 83 car of Joey Clanton and the 07 car of Russell Shore. So the red flag is out on the speedway here as they work to get these cars back rolling. Both cars actually back rolling here. Track crew gets them both back rolling here. Race fans, we invite you to check out Track Pass on NBC Sports Gold next Wednesday, June 9th for round number 2 of Thursday Thunder, and next Thursday, June 10th for round number 3. We'll be with you for the entire Thursday Thunder series here on Track Pass on NBC Sports Gold.
And we're getting ready to line up the cars again here. We have Young in 1st place, followed by Jones in 2nd. We've got the 14, 8, and 15 cars following up that of Swan, Schubert, and Plemons. Plemons immediately going from 5th to 4th. As Young holds the lead at number 10, Jones trying to make a pass. It looks like Jones, number 10, makes the pass to go into 1st place. And it goes wide and gives it right back up again. So we got Young in 1st place, followed by the 14 car and the 10 car fighting for 2nd with Plemons in 4th. And we have a car spinning off of turn 1 into the barrel rings. We have another caution. I think the theme of this race has been caution. Caleb is back to keep me from being Vin Scully.
So it looks like the 07 car of Russell Shore is the car that is stopped down in the grass here in turns 1 and 2. Back rolling here with the rest of the field. Phillip Young continues to lead this one. But that 15 car of Bill Plemons Jr. still hanging around, just 3 laps completed. It seems like these cars have been out there a lifetime with all the cautions we've had, but just 3 laps completed here in this Masters feature race.
Yeah, I think we have completed 3 laps in about 8 at this point.
So caution out on the speedway once again for the Masters division. Phillip Young, Benjamin Jones, Mark Swan, Bill Plemons Jr., Randy Schubert make up the top 5. One to go being shown to the field right here. Gabe, we've seen a lot of wrecks and parity so far with both our front row drivers getting in a caution. Phillip Young wasn't able to pick up a victory here last year, as you remember, as Bill Plemons swept all 8 races. But Phillip Young was always running up front. What would it mean for Phillip Young to finally go to victory lane after 8 races last year running second or third to Bill Plemons Jr.
That would be like the Red Sox winning the World Series after an 86-year drought, or the Cubs after a 100-year drought.
And I think it means even more here in this Masters division. Working off of turn number 4, green flag in the air, back racing here. Phillip Young with another good jump over the 10 car of Benjamin Jones. Bill Plemons Jr. holding on to that 4th place position. He'll get the run off the corner and sets his sights on the 14 car of Mark Swan.
And we have the 1, 2, 3, 4 cars all single file. Plemons is trying to make a move on the 14 car of Swan. 3rd and 4th place battle going on right now.
I can tell you this, if that 37 car of Phillip Young wants to go to victory lane, he better get out of town and get out of town fast, because that 15 car of Bill Plemons Jr. is already knocking on the door of 3rd place driver Mark Swan.
There's a lot of racing left to do, though, and with the cautions that have been out, I don't doubt we're going to have a lot of restarts here. Let's see if they can keep it going for a while.
Well, that 83 car of Joey Clanton just moved the 8 car of Randy Schubert out of the way. Now he's trying to get around the outside the 4 car of Turney Yon, but he'll swing wide. That's another one of these drivers that is trying to hard charge through this field. And
Swan is making it difficult for Plemons. It's not being easy right now, and that is helping the number 37 car of Young hold the lead with Jones right behind him.
14 laps remaining. Phillip Young out front. Bill Plemons Jr., the favorite here to win tonight, back in 4th. Not able to get that 3rd place position. That's what those 2 leaders out front want to see.
And Young is even making some more space between him and 2nd place as Plemons tries to fight his way around that 14 car for 3rd.
Bill Plemons Jr. looks to the inside of the 14 car this time. Still not able to complete that pass. That 14 car of Mark Swan is diamonding the corner. What that means is he goes up top, swings to the bottom in the middle of the corner, then swings back out wide off the exit of the corner, like a diamond shape. As those drivers race, caution flag out on the speedway. Once again, Bill Plemons Jr. going to have yet another shot as the caution flag comes out. Not what the 37 car of Phillip Young wanted to see.
We got a car in the center of the field, and we also have a barrel ring on the edge of the track. Those barrel rings are really weighing on people's minds. They can't dive into those turns as much, because if you catch those rings with your tire, it's going to cause a problem.
So a new addition here to the Thunder Ring, those rings down in the turns, as Gabe just mentioned, that are bringing out these cautions here that are causing these drivers to trip up all around these treacherous flat corners here on the quarter-mile Thunder Ring.
I'm wondering how it's going to affect Plemons' strategy. Last year, he took advantage of diving into those turns. Is that making it harder for him to pass that number 3 car at this point?
Well, this is the closest he's been to the lead so far. He's going to find himself more than likely on the outside unless they put these drivers back single file racing. We'll see how they decide to line this group of cars up. But Phillip Young right now, with just 12 laps remaining, is out front here over the 10 car of Benjamin Jones, the 14 car of Mark Swan, and the 15 car of Bill Plemons Jr.
I don't know how you feel about the barrel rings, but I think they add an interesting twist to how the racers go about this race at this point. You also have to watch out if the person in front of you is cutting in too close and catches that barrel ring. It might put you in something.
Those barrel rings have definitely added something to the character of this racetrack. Across the stripe here. 1 lap remaining till we go back green flag racing. We'll set the field for you. 37 car, Phillip Young out front. 10 car, Benjamin Jones in second. Mark Swan in the 14 car in third. Back in 4th is the 15 car of Bill Plemons Jr. and rounding out the top 5, the 83 car of Joey Clanton.
And if sure enough, Plemons and Clanton are right back there in the fight at 4-5. This will be interesting to see if either one of them get around that 14 car of Swan.
Battle for the lead heating up. 10 car gives the bumper to the 37 car. They spin in turns 3 and 4. Caution flag out on the speedway. And just when Phillip Young thought he had the lead. The 10 car of Benjamin Jones makes contact with him. Both those drivers involved in the caution late in this one.
Now, when you get bumped from the back like that and spin out, does that affect your place in that race, Caleb?
If you were a part of the caution, you were going to have to go to the rear, as the 37 car of Phillip Young will. Now, we'll see what the race directors decide to do with the 10 car of Benjamin Jones. But Phillip Young, yes, he will have to go to the rear of this one. So after a good performance so far in this one, after leading 8 laps, he's going to have to go to the rear. And now this sets up new players at the front. If they put the 10 car of Benjamin Jones at the back, which it appears they're going to, Mark Swan and Bill Plemons Jr. will be your front 2 drivers. So as you can see there, the 10 car starting to fade to the back. So the 10 car who was involved in that caution, Benjamin Jones, will fade to the rear now. And some new players up front. Could Mark Swan go to victory lane? He's been trying for years here in the Masters Division. Could he go to victory lane? Could Bill Plemons Jr. continue his dominance? Or can Joey Clanton, a driver who hasn't been in a Masters car in years, get back in his car and go to victory for the first time this season in the Thursday Thunder round number 1?
And I made the joke as Jan was in the back earlier, saying he had everyone right where they wanted them with all the cautions, and sure enough, Jan is right there in fourth place right now. So, maybe that was prophetic.
So giving them the 1 to go this time. Mark Swan in first, Bill Plemons Jr. in second, Joey Clanton third. How about that black and orange number 4 car, Tony Yon, or perhaps that blue and white 07 of Russell Shore? That's your top 5. 6th place is the 8 car of Randy Schubert. That's your top 6. Then there's the 18 car of James Meredith, the 01 of Wes Potter, the 5 car of Barry Bowen, and the 10 car of Phillip Young. 37 car Phillip Young in 10th place. Green flag back in the air. Mark Swan, Bill Plemons Jr., Joey Clanton, all battling hard into turns 1 and 2.
And Swan holds the first turn. You really got to watch as Plemons dives into those turns. Those barrel rings may be playing a role in whether he does. Oh, and Plemons spins out coming out of turn 4.
Spinner off of turn number 4. Bill Plemons Jr. will bring out the caution once again, and just as he worked his way back to the front, he will spin and have to go to the rear. Bill Plemons Jr. and the 83 car of Joey Clanton were battling hard for that 2nd place position, and you see the checkered flag out with the yellow. The blue light is on. That means this race is over. Victory is going to go to the 14 car of Mark Swan.
And Plemons and Clanton fought their way back to the front, and Swan has got to say, wow, this was a great hold on for me.
Well, race fans, if you're wondering why the checker was flown with the yellow, the blue light came on just before that caution. We weren't able to see it. Now we see the blue light was on. That means a green-white checkered finish. They had taken the white flag when the caution was thrown, thus bringing the next flag ends the race. Mark Swan was out front. He is going to go to victory lane for the first time, for the first race this season. Mark